This is a second video about market to book ratio. Now in the last video we showed you, and unfortunately I'm going to have to open a file up again, but we went through this kind of cost of capital analysis. Don't pretend you didn't see that. And then we do this thing where, I guess I do have to do that. What happens is I have to let the F9. So we showed the cost of capital could be 4.83 or 3.85, both very low numbers for these beer companies, if we used a regression analysis in these market to book ratios. And this formula that is pretty robust. And it's pretty robust. Consider what happens after a company takes a big write-off for a goodwill or something. Well, then the investment goes down and the ROE goes way up. But when the ROE goes way up, you know, the market to book ratio also goes up, so you don't get this distortions. When you do this with the PE ratio and you use the ROE there in that PE ratio, it doesn't work. I have no idea if you have any idea what I'm talking about. I also bought some headphones with a microphone. Now, I lose my headphones a lot, and when I bought these headphones, I sat in the stupid airport, and they're noise reduction headphones, and they were calling my name because I was late for the flight because I sat at the wrong gate, and then I missed my flight. Stupid things. But I hope the sound quality is better. It probably doesn't make any difference at all. Okay, now what we're doing is we're going to do a simulation. And in this simulation, we're going to put, instead of just, last time I talked about this interpolate macro thing, and an interpolate macro for this, and I used a linear interpolate. If you put equal interpolate, notice I have one for adjusted and reverse. There are a whole host of different interpolate lookup functions that I think are really important. I think Excel could have put these in. It's good they didn't. Maybe they'll put them in the next one. They'll steal them or something. No, they don't care about me. Now, when we change the growth rate, I want to see if, you know, this formula still applies. If this is still, because right now, what happens is we put 6%, let me see. I put 6% and I get 1.61 as my cost, my price to book ratio. Now, if I put this price to book ratio in here, it kind of gives me a different number. If I keep the growth rate the same, the cost of capital and the growth rate the same, this stupid thing, it better not start. Okay, it gives me exactly what I started with. If I make this 12 and this 12 and I make this 5 and this 5, you know, it always gives me the correct cost of capital that I started with. I make this 1 and this 1, it always does that. But when I start changing this over time, then it gives a different answer. Now the question I have, and I don't know how to address this, well, I'm going to give you my suggestion, is, you know, how do we see if we made this regression that, I think I closed the other sheet already, didn't I? Yep, I closed the other sheet already. But if we make this regression, okay, we don't know if it's estimating, if it's somehow biased. Okay, so I'm trying to see if it's biased. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and put these changing values in. Now when we put these changing values in, then the income now is not a constant ROE, it's the income times the ROE that changes. The dividends, we don't care about inflation, remember, in this case. The dividends are change as well. Okay, and then we get a, what I did this time is I just said, okay, let's go to 20 years and then get a terminal value. And for our terminal value, we can just take the final book value of equity, okay, this is, excuse me, the terminal terminal value is E. It's this ROE minus G divided by K minus G, and this one we just use the final numbers for the terminal value. So we can just put a terminal value using that formula and let the book value go up. So that's what I did over here. By the way, I should press Shift Control C. That gives us a kind of nicer thing, and I should have pressed Shift Control C. It's a little more artistic there, isn't it? Okay. Criticizing the artisticness of spreadsheets. You know. Okay. So then we get our price to book ratio, and we estimate that with the changing growth rates. Now, to make it a little more interesting, or complicated, or whatever, I can put just some volatility in here. And I'm not making the volatility change. Let's make this 15%. So, and after we put the volatility in, then we put a normal, a standard normal, and take the inverse of the standard normal and put a random against it. Okay, so then I say, well, okay, this new one is how volatility, how we're going to magnify this standard normal thing, and we're going to make it go up and down. So then, now every time I press Enter. Okay, I just got it finished. Here is the regression with I'm struggling with, I don't know why I don't see the trend line, and I put the scales in kind of badly. So now you've got this big thing. Notice how even though our expected growth was 0, it still put in a negative, because sometimes when we did our simulations, it kind of put a simulation, put a growth rate in. And now when we did the going through the without the constant, this worked really well. But when we put the slope, this should have been Shift Control 1, and this should have been, but I better put a couple of other things. I know I could put H9 or whatever it is. And so we get just, you know, when we add this constant, hang on, I think I did it. This should have been the slope minus the slope plus the constant. So I'm wrong. It gave us about the same. Either way, it gave us about the same result. So that's okay. The good news, it wasn't biased or anything else. But now let's get a little more interesting. Let's make the ROE go down. So it goes down, not quite to the cost of capital. Let's put a 3% and then a 1%. And maybe this is 15 years and this is 8 years. Okay, so we put another thing in, and now we're going to get another regression equation. And I hope the line comes out, and I hope it doesn't put the, you know, that crap in. I don't know why the trend line didn't work. That's not a big issue. So we're going to simulate again, and then I'm going to stop the video while I'm simulating. It took about 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Now notice what happened on this case, okay? I adjusted, I kind of cheated and adjusted the graph here. And what am I doing here? I should put an equal sign and put our, oops. Equal, and maybe put our cost of capital with 0 intercept. You can't do this, unfortunately. You have to just do it on one line, you know that, okay? You know, and then, okay. So in this case, our true cost of capital was 6, and it kind of made a bad estimate on both sides. With the intercept was a little low, that's with the intercept. Without the intercept, with a 0 intercept, was a little high. But kind of in between, almost, if we take an average, you know, we're getting, you know, oh, it's a touch low when we do that. Okay, I'm not trying to argue for one or the other, anything else. This is our, I should put this as the coefficient. Okay, maybe, we'll go like this. Okay, and then that's from our line estimate function. And then we put the standard error. Okay, and then the bottom one has the r squared. I think it also has the standard error, the regression or something. I should know what the last one has. Okay, we'll do some other videos on showing you exactly how to make a regression by hand with the solver thing. Okay, now I'm going to make a couple of other scenarios. What happens if we would make let's make, I don't know, a 50% volatility here. Let's make this go up to 12%. And we'll keep the growth rate the same. Maybe we'll put a 10% volatility on the growth rate. Okay, so the growth rate should be changing, and okay, this growth rate is going down, and this ROE with the interpolation is going down. So now we can do a whole simulation. I actually think it's kind of a small file, but it has a lot in it. So I'm going to do that one and pause the video and show you what the result is then. So in this case, with the increasing ROE, the estimate with the intercept didn't work very well at all without underestimated. So I'm going to make another scenario here. Let's make it go down to 7%. Let's make the growth rate go up. How about that? All right. And then I'm going to have to switch off the video and wait while it's computing. So here, in this case, cost of capital with the intercept 4.2%, and the cost of capital with the zero interest rate was a little bit high. Okay, so that's again when we had a decreasing rate. And my conclusion at the end of the day is that this method is pretty good if you've got some data. It should certainly be used as a check, and you probably should use this one with a zero intercept. Okay, maybe you can do some more analysis of this, but between the two files I showed you, now this one, oh, excuse me, I'm going to put this in the new files, of course, and most importantly, I'm going to also kind of restructure this thing that calls advanced valuation model, advanced valuation analysis with corporate models. I think this one has to be changed to databases now. Okay, and that's the end of the market to book